Hello, you're very welcome to the Irish Independence League of Ireland preview video, joined today by Aidan Fitzmaurice to look ahead to another very big Friday night. Aidan, I suppose there's a couple of teams in form in the league, there's a couple of teams struggling for a bit of form so far as we approach the halfway point of the season. Bohemians, Shamrock Rovers and Derry, probably the three in-form teams coming into this weekend. I saw Shamrock Rovers with an emphatic 4-0 win over St Pat's on Monday night, and we were chatting after the game. I had no idea I'd be saying that by the end of that Dublin derby. Bohs obviously on a good run of form the last couple of weeks, and Derry picking up a good result, few results as well. So those three wanting to be going into the international break off the back of off a high, I suppose. Yeah,
Rovers really, I think it's very ominous speaking to people fans, people around the game. I think everyone's worried about how ominous the former Shamrock Rovers is. Had their wobbles earlier on, but the strength of the squad, the players on the bench who can't even make the bench at the moment. Mandrew and McInnes are coming back from injury. The break might be coming at the wrong time for Shamrock Rovers, just as they get all of those back, where I think other clubs, I think Shelbourne really want to get to the break and have that reset, but Rovers just so strong. They're getting goals from all areas, they're getting clean sheets. It's just clicking for Shamrock Rovers and what they had already. But you've got Danny Mandrew, you've got Aaron McInnes fit, you've got the options to teenagers, you can drop them in and out. Noonan on Ojavuna, Corey Sullivan celebrated this week being called up to the Irish Under-21s. It's really clicking for them. So the challenge then will be against Derry, who really have found the form in the last couple of weeks. We've spoken a lot on the show before about how poor they were in the opening weeks. They found their form. Players like Liam Boyce, people like that really have hit form. Mickey Duffy never dipped his levels. He's been there all along. Brian Maher racking up the clean sheets. So in terms of the title, probably the focus will be on Ryan McBride Brandywell for the Derry Shamrock Rovers game. Drogheda Bohs is another one. Bohs really on form at the moment. Again, the confidence that was just so lacking earlier on. I was in the Bohs camp this week doing some interviews, and they admitted that they were so low in confidence earlier on because goals were going in, they weren't winning, the fans were on their back, they were on Anil Reynolds' back. It was just a really tense camp, and they're just very relaxed at the moment because they're getting goals, they're getting late goals. Again, they can look to Lys Mousset and the options that he can score the winner in Sligo but not start the following week. They just have options, and from Drogheda's point of view, they're still there. They're still in the top four, still getting results. I was there on Monday when they played Shelbourne. Probably Drogheda possibly fortunate not to win it. They've only a couple of chances, but they grew very strong late on. Shells faded as the game went on. Drogheda were very strong in the last 10 minutes. Darragh Markey came off and was really good. Thomas Alua. So again, I think that bench could be pivotal for Drogheda if they're going to get something at home to Bohs.
Just looking at that Derry Shamrock Rovers game, probably the game of the night for me. Rovers have had a decent record up at the Brandywell the last few times they've been up there. A couple of points clear now. Obviously the likes of Derry and Bohs have a game in hand on the leaders at the moment, but I know it's very early to be talking about title race and title credentials, but this feels like a massive game just to back up those couple of results. They're on 4 wins in a row and just edge that gap ever so slightly more.
Yeah, and it's important for those teams to bank. I mean, those Monday games, because of the fixtures moved forward because of the European commitments. So the summer is often when clubs kind of lose their way a little bit, because you're, particularly if you're in the Conference Europa League, you're playing Thursday, so you're out of your normal routine. You're playing in Europe on Thursday, possibly travelling home on Friday and playing on the Sunday. So to try and bank those points earlier on, I think both of them just really are in form at the moment. I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a really good game of attacking football. Both of them really do attack. As I said, the pressure that was on Derry early on the season is gone. They seem to be enjoying their football, and those getting those goals. Whereas Rovers, they can just look, if it's 0-0, look to the bench. If Aaron Green isn't doing it, you bring on Rory Gaffney. Rovers have that
serious depth.
And some weeks the players weren't even on the bench. Adam Matthews can come in and out. They really have those options that nobody else in the league has at the moment.
So Derry City, Shamrock Rovers and Bohemians looking to continue their good runs of form and enter the international break on a high. On the other end of that spectrum, you have the likes of St Pat's and Shells, who have had a tricky couple of weeks results wise. I know I saw Shells lose that Dublin derby at Dalymount last Friday. You saw Shells 0-0 draw with Drogheda on Monday night. Pats as well, it's been a tricky few weeks for them, and I think it was their worst league defeat since March 2023 there on Monday night, 4-0 at Tallaght Stadium. Like the teams in form looking ahead into the international break on a high, these two teams want to get a bit of momentum back, and I know Shells have had injury concerns and a couple of suspensions as well. But there'll be a bit of pressure this Friday to just get points back on the board.
Shells, look, they were very flat at home to Drogheda. There's no real creative spark. They had plenty of possession, but didn't really. Luke Dennison in goal for Drogheda didn't really make saves. They just looked like a team unconfident. The moment summed up for me earlier on. Mipo Abadabeko was put in 1-on-1 and the ball just went away from him, where that's a sign of a striker and a team who are just low on confidence, where a striker at the top of his game would have got that, or else somebody else would have been there for him. Harry Wood or somebody would around him. They just look very, very flat, no creative spark. In contrast to Drogheda in that game, where Darragh came off and in 10 minutes had more impact on the game than the Shelbourne midfield had in terms of creating chances and making things happen. St Pat's just look very unsettled at the moment. I think the strength last year, when they had that strong finish under Stephen Kenny, was a settled team. It was more or less the same team every week. Those wingers were in form. A lot of players just look out of form at the moment. Anto Breslin was undroppable for so long. He's been out of the team the last while, really suffering with injuries. Palmer being missed, Forrester is a huge loss. Pats just look they're chopping and changing an awful lot. Kazim was in and then is out again. Mulroney and Albazetti just don't have the spark that they had last year. St Pat's really look flat. They're missing Forrester, and I think they just need as well to get to the break. Shelbourne and St Pat's just want to get to the break without dropping any more points. Take a step back and have a reset.
Shelbourne hosting a bottom side Sligo Rovers at Talca Park this Friday. I know I'll be at that one. And you know, on paper, a home game against the bottom team. The perfect game, if you want to call it, to get 3 points, get a bit of momentum. But we know in this league there are no easy games and anything can happen.
And particularly with Sligo Rovers, because the one thing about them, even though they are bottom and losing games, what I admired about them in that run when they were losing was they were still scoring. Often you see teams like that who are at the bottom, nothing's going right for you, can't score. So they were coming out. That's what gave me hope that suggested that Sligo Rovers had hope this season, that they might lose 2-1, but they've scored. So I wouldn't rule out just how low in confidence Shelbourne were. I think Sligo will come into this game, the pressure is on them. Clearly pressure is on because they're bottom, but they will look to enjoy this. And again, they're juggling a lot of things at the moment. A couple of players in that Sligo Rover squad, Conor Reynolds and one or two others, are studying for the leaving cert, which is difficult for John Russell to deal with. But I think Sligo Rovers will feel that they can get a point at least.
And we've seen Waterford kick into form the last couple of weeks as well, obviously under new management as well. They are away to Pats, and just the final game of the night, Galway United against Cork City. We all know about the new manager bounce, Gerard Nash now in at Cork City. So Galway, Cork, that's a pretty hard one to call.
Yeah, Galway just again lost the form at the moment. Again, the strength that they had earlier on, those clean sheets, that tight unit, they're just conceding an awful lot of goals. Cork are very strange. It's the first chance that Gerard Nash has had a chance to work with the players. I saw them at home to St Pat's, and really there was three sides to Cork that night in the first half. They were way off. They were really poor, didn't lay a glove on St Pat's. Gerard Nash had a word at half time. He watched the game from the director's box, went in to have a word, much better at the start of the second half, came from 1-0 down to lead 2-1. They looked very strong at that stage. I thought they were going to see it out, go on and win. Sean Maguire scoring his first goal since he came back from injury. And then just a complete lack of concentration, they let the game get away from them and lost 3-2. So I think Gerard Nash, having seen those three, he'll have done those clips. How can we be so timid to go 1-0 down? How can we be so good to get to 2-1 up and deservedly should have won the game, and then be so open that we lose 3-2? So it'll be interesting to see what changes because of injuries. Nash doesn't have an awful lot of it. They still want to get a lot of players like Dikjsteel and Ruairí Keating and people like that back. Colin Sullivan is still there. He was again called up to the under-21s this week. Every time I see him, I talk about him every week. He's just an immense talent. I say it every week. Go and watch him while you still can. He won't be in the league for long. Boost for him to be called up for the 21s this week. So I think Cork, I think they might have a chance of getting something in Galway.
I know you're DROGHEDA bound on Friday night. I'll be at Talca Park for Shelbourne against Sligo Rovers. You can follow all the latest League of Ireland news and analysis with the Irish Independent. Thanks for watching.